I cannot wait for you to meet Shamira Wilson, an incredibly talented artist here in Indianapolis, Indiana at the Circle City Industrial Complex, along with a lot of other really talented artists. Her background in painting and in furniture design is incredible. You gotta come see her work. Follow me.
Hi, I'm Shamira Wilson, and I'm an Indianapolis-based interdisciplinary visual artist.
I cannot believe the skill you have, the steady hand you have.
I grew up in a house where we had objects from the 50s and 60s and 70s, and crochet pillows, things like that were always around me. I had one grandmother who had a sunroom where she kept like all kinds of ribbon, all kinds of papers, everything she would keep, and we would just make things out of whatever. My mom still crochets, she crochets every day, so I see her, working with her hands all the time and looking at patterns, and I definitely am drawn to the structure of it and the actual patterns themselves and seeing how they're put together.
Are you trying to create more of an optical illusion with your work? Because I see a lot of depth that you create visually.
I get a lot of inspiration from textiles, in particular narrative textiles like quilts and things like that.
Yeah.
But the warp and weft of how textiles are created. So a lot of times I'm thinking about how patterns can tell a story. I'm usually actually looking in the opposite direction of art. I look at everyday life, I look at nature. A lot of my work is inspired by my own learning. So as I'm learning about gardening and how to grow food, I'm illustrating that process. And that's how my brain works. I like diagrams and photos, and that's how I would study in college. I would need to draw things out.
Color contrast, like you utilize it so well. Like, tell me, why is that so important to you? Because I see it everywhere in this room.
Sometimes I try to think about the value of different colors that I'm using. So can someone see that from far away? What's the graphic strength of this piece? So I do look a lot at contrasting colors, complementary colors. How can something be visually impactful if I'm looking at it from a distance, which is important with murals too, because you've got to think about, okay, someone's going to look at this, they might be driving past, and they can only get a few minutes or a few seconds of that piece in.
Good point.
So how can I make that impactful?
So we got mural, but then tell me why these are so effective, these smaller pieces that you have created, where they're kind of like, they feel geometric, but they also feel like architectural. Like, tell me more about them and like why this small scale?
So I did quite a few of these. I did 100 in total.
Whoa.
I was just making iterations of this house shape and seeing how I could use house as an illustrative device and use that to create some sort of character. So each house kind of symbolizes a different relationship or a different scenario, but in a really simple way. I wanted people to really feel like they could get up close with it and really get the emotional impact of the piece by keeping it pretty small and creating this intimate exchange.
No, I love it. Excellent example of why it's so important to like go and actually see somebody's work. Because on your website, I'm like, oh, these are huge. And then I'm like here and I'm like, whoa, they're small, but I love them even more.
Furniture is something that we interact with every day. And so going into furniture was a good way for me to kind of dip my toes into something that's very handmade. There's something really cool about imagining something and then seeing it come to life. Like that whole process of, okay, I have this thought, let me draw it out, and then I can actually make the thing myself.
So tell me about the mural you guys did for the Black Lives Matter mural.
Oh, it was a lot of synergy. There's 18 of us all together.
Wow, 18, man.
Yes. So each of us had an individual letter, individual style.
Yeah.
And we came together and put all of our styles together and created one large piece from it.
It's kind of like your opportunity to use your voice, like to speak with your talent. Like how important was that for you guys?
I think that it's important because some of us wear different hats. You bring a group together and you discuss a civic topic using that art piece. And so I think that can be a really great way to create dialogue because it's something that is subjective.
Yeah.
And it allows people to express different viewpoints.
It was a beautiful mural you made. Like, how did it feel like when it ended up, like somebody put paint all over it and it got vandalized?
It was definitely frustrating. A lot of work went into it, but also a lot of emotion. The past few years I've been working pretty heavily, pretty hard. I really enjoy researching, so I'd like to spend more time on that front end of things and then have a really good quality of work that I'm happy with. The first and foremost thing that I try to keep in mind when I'm doing anything is this making me happy? Is my family okay? I'm my own worst critic, so I think that's a lot of artists, and it's like, oh, is this thing good? What does that even mean? So I'm always trying to just improve and to continue on that process.